Unit 3, Learning Target 5c, I can factor with a not equal to 1. So what we're going to look at today is what do we do when that first number isn't 1, because that's all we've dealt with so far. So quick reminder, something that looks like 3x plus 2 times x minus 5. We know we would distribute to get 3x squared minus 15x plus 2x and minus 10. Combine our like terms, get 3x squared minus 13x minus 10. We talked last learning target video about where these things come from, but just a reminder, the 3x squared comes from the 3x times the x. The negative 13x comes from 3x times negative 5 plus 2 times x. So it's that outside piece and that inside piece. Then the negative 10 comes from 2 times negative 5. So these two are our first two. These are our last two in the parentheses. And then these are the outside and inside. Alright, so as you can see, we're going to do two examples, and we're going to do two different options for each of these examples. Just like last time I gave you options, pick whichever one makes the most sense for you and get really good at that option. If you can do both, even better, but make sure that one of these two fits best for you. Option 1 is guess and check. Basically what you do is you look at the first two numbers, or the first term, 6x squared, and you guess two things that multiply to get 6x squared. So I would guess maybe 2x and 3x. Just what I'm going to guess. You could guess 1x and 6x. Then you look at the last term, which is negative 10, and you think, okay, what two things multiply to get me 10? We could say 1 and 10, we could say 2 and 5, but we guess 1, and then we check it. So we check it by multiplying our inside things to get 6x, our outside things to get 10x. We need to add these things together to get that middle piece. Well, 6x and 10x can't ever get you negative 11. So we guessed, we checked, it didn't work. So we guessed something else. I'm going to stick with the 2x and the 3x, but I'm going to switch my 2 and my 5 this time. So if we multiply these insides, we get 15x. If we multiply these outsides, we get 4x. And you're looking to see, can I get a negative 11 out of that somehow? Well, if we have a negative 15 and a positive 4, that's going to get us that negative 11. So we get negative 11 if 15 is negative and 4 is positive. And we also get the negative 10, because 1 negative and 1 positive gets negative 10. So we need negative 15. So that means we're going to put negative there. Positive 4. So we're going to put a positive sign there. So guess and check. You might guess it right the first time. Check it. All good. but guess and check could take you a little bit of time if you don't guess it right the first time. Option 2 is slide and divide, and it's going to work each time, but it is a little bit of a process. So the first thing you do is take the 10 and take the 6 and slide it to the negative 10. Which means that we're going to multiply. So we've got x squared minus 11x, and now since we multiply those two things, we get 60. Now that we did that, our front number, our a value, is 1. So now we can factor it like normal. We know we have x and x, and we're looking for what multiplies to get us negative 60. Well, we've got 2 and 30, but that doesn't work. We've got negative 3 and 20, but that gets you 17. That doesn't work. We want it to be negative 11. So if we keep working down, if we have negative 4 and 15, that's going to get us positive 11 when we add them together. But since we need to get negative 11, positive 4, negative 15 gets us negative 11. So we're going to put a positive 4 and a negative 15. So step 1, slide. Step 2, factor like normal. Step 3 is to divide, D-I-V-I-D-E, by whatever you slid. So we'll take each number and we're going to divide it by 6. That's step 3. Step 4 is to simplify. So looking at 4 and 6, 2 can go into both of those things. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Then we've got 15 and 6. 15 and 6. 3 can go into both of those. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Last step is to slide back. So you take whatever's on the bottom and you slide it back up front. So we'd have 3x minus 2 and 2x minus 5. Alright, let's do one more example. Sorry this is a little bit of a long video, but anytime you give options, it's going to take a little bit longer. Example 2. As always, we need to take the greatest common factor out first. Example 1 didn't have one. Example 2, though, we could take a 2 out of all of these numbers. Our greatest common factor goes out front. What we have left goes in the middle. 10 divided by 2 is 5x squared. Negative 44 divided by 2 is negative 22x. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Alright, option 1, guess and check. 5x squared minus 22x plus 8. So the only possible way to get 5x squared is with a 5x and an x. So the good thing about guess and check here is we know our first two terms have to be, or our first two pieces have to be 5x and x. Then with 8, I'm going to guess 2 and 4. We could guess 1 and 8, but I'm just going to guess 2 and 4, check it and see if it works. So our inside would get us 2x. Our outside would get us 20x. We need these to get negative 22 somehow. So if both of those were negative, we would get negative 22. Now you always have to go back and think, okay, well, a negative 2 and a negative 4 also give me that positive 8. And yes, both negative get you that positive 8 at the end when you multiply them. So in this case, we checked it, first guess was correct. Option 2, slide and divide. We leave our 2 out front, don't worry about it anymore. It just follows along with us. So we take our 5x squared minus 22x plus 8, and we slide our 5 over to 8. So we've got 2 and then x squared minus 22x plus 40. Next step is to factor. Because our a value is 1, that number with x squared is 1. We know we're going to have x and x. And we're looking for something that multiplies to get 40 and adds to get 22. Well, multiplies to get 40, I know 2 and 20 is 22, but if we want it to be negative 22, they're going to both need to be negative. So we're going to put negative 2, negative 20. Next thing is to divide. And since we slid 5, we're going to divide by 5. Then simplify. 2 over 5 is as simple as it's going to get, so we would just write that down. Then negative 20 divided by 5 is negative 4. And then the last step is to slide back. So we're going to take our 5 and slide it back. The second piece doesn't have anything to slide back. There isn't a fraction anymore. 20 divided by 5 is just 4. So again, sorry for the long video, but see which option makes the most sense to you. Guess and check works. Sometimes you'll get it the first time. Sometimes it might take you a little while. The good thing about slide and divide is that you follow the same process every time, but you can't use slide and divide unless you follow the whole process. We've got slide, the first step, factor, the second step, divide is the third step, simplify is the fourth step, and slide back is the fifth step. So there are 5 steps to slide and divide, and if you don't do them all, you won't get the right answer. But most importantly, you always have to take out the greatest common factor first. If you try to slide and divide before you take out the greatest common factor, you will not get the right answer. Have fun factoring!